As we said a moment ago, it's always great to connect with JD Wicker, San Diego State's athletic director. It's been such an amazing year, obviously a busy time. Just a couple of weeks ago, he hired the newest head coach in San Diego State football history, and Sean Lewis completing his recruiting class, or starting to complete his recruiting class over the last 24 hours. So we have JD Wicker with us here on John and Jim. And JD, we always appreciate it, and happy holidays. Thanks for doing it.
Yeah, happy holidays, guys, and always appreciate the time. It's a good time to be an Aztec.
No question about it. So what did you think, JD? This was a big part of your thought process, right? To bring a head coach in early to allow him to complete a class. What do you make of the way that Sean Lewis and his staff were able to do this in such a shorter period of time, about 2 or 3 weeks?
Yeah, you hit it, right on the head. That was our thinking all along, was to have a good head start on the process. And, it worked out, great, getting Sean on board as quick as we did. We had a short list of candidates that we had wanted to talk to, and through our search firm, Parker Search, they helped us get that done and expedited decision. And then, Sean had a great plan coming in. That's one of the big reasons he's our head coach, is he had a great plan coming in. He knew he wanted to hire from a coaching standpoint, and was able to hit the ground running in San Diego. And obviously yesterday was, a really good day, and, still more work to do. We still got opportunities with the transfer portal for the next couple of weeks, and then start getting ready for spring ball.
When you interviewed Sean Lewis, was there a moment during that interview process where you said to yourself, okay, he's our guy? Or was it after the interview process, or like how long before you knew, all right, Sean Lewis is our guy?
Initial conversation, it was one of those things where it's like, okay, definitely at the top of the list. We had some, we had a deep pool. We had, really good people that we were talking to, and it really, he shined through as we had our in-person interview with him right after Thanksgiving, and, pulled that trigger. And, here we are today with, a lot of excitement around the program. It's going to look a whole lot different on the field from an offensive standpoint. Excited about the quarterbacks we've got coming in. I'm sure that should excite the fan base as well. So yeah, he's chomping at the bit. I know that, and so are we.
JD Wicker is with us right now, and John and Jim, San Diego Sports 760, the Aztecs athletic director. Next year, JD, as you know, you've got both Oregon State and Washington State on the schedule at home at Snapdragon Stadium. How unique is that to be hosting those two programs within the same year?
Yeah, it's a good thing. It's great for our fan base. It's two definitely recognizable teams, and we're excited to bring them in, and definitely something we weren't planning on, but now with the conference schedule laying out like it is, and the alliance with those two schools, we're excited to welcome both to San Diego, and hopefully get a couple W's.
What's your expectations for football next season, first year for Coach Lewis?
I think improvement over, the past year, get back to a bowl game challenge. We always, with the resources we put into football, with, the stadium and the facilities, and, the fan base, hopefully turning out next year, filling up Snapdragon Stadium, our goal is to compete for a conference championship, and it always will be.
JD Wicker is with us right now, and John and Jim. You mentioned Oregon State, Washington State, their scheduling alliance with the Mountain West. What does that mean, JD, for San Diego State? I mean, what are the benefits here that are at play with Oregon State and Washington State agreeing to an alliance, at least for the next year, with the league?
Yeah, I think it's one, it's good for them. It helps them out. Two, really, great programs. They've had a lot of success. Both of them had, some success this year. Washington State's had success over the last couple of years. But it's also bringing, two recognizable teams into the league. And it's, potential, not just a partnership for this year. It could be a long-term partnership that, benefits both of us, San Diego State, the Mountain West, and then both Oregon State and Washington State. So excited to be able to help them when they're in a tough situation. And I think this has the opportunity to be very beneficial for San Diego State down the road.
JD, what did you make of when the NCAA new president, Charlie Baker, kind of made headlines recently? He discussed this potential new tier of Division One, and I think there's a number of different factors in there, including the payment of athletes. I'm sure it's just in its infancy, but what could this mean for San Diego State if there's a new tier of athletics moving forward?
We've said we want to position ourselves to play at the highest level of, NCAA sports, whether it's football, basketball, water polo, soccer. So we'll continue to, follow what's happening. We'll share our opinion, our voice on the proposals as they continue to move. I mean, what Charlie Baker said was this is the start to a conversation. And it's something that we have to do based on, everything that's happening in the courts, whether it's, a West Virginia judge throwing out our transfer regulations or the House lawsuit or the lawsuit that just got filed recently with the Duke football player, the Johnson case in Pennsylvania. We've got to show Congress that we're taking it seriously, that we're willing to share revenue with student athletes, which we already do right now, scholarships, travel, all the other benefits that a student athlete receives. But, there is a lot of revenue, especially at the top of the FBS. So figuring out how to appropriately, make sure student athletes are seeing, a fair share, whatever that number may end up being, and knowing that you also have to meet Title IX and we want to have broad-based athletics. So we'll continue to monitor what that looks like. And our goal will be to play at the highest level of, college football, college basketball, and all the other sports.
JD, what do you think the ramifications of the NCAA potentially allowing not just one free transfer, but two free transfers?
Well, I mean, I think I'm in disagreement with it. I'm disappointed that, attorney generals of 7 states chose to go down this path. I'm disappointed that a judge in West Virginia chose to do it because it's not just about playing. I realize people don't talk about it much, but it's academic outcomes. A kid that's transferring 2 and 3 times is not going to have a good academic outcome. The number of credits that generally don't transfer from one school to another, and we've seen this time and time again as kids, student athletes transfer in, and we start, processing the credits from the classes that they've taken at their previous institution, and a number of those aren't going to transfer to San Diego State for whatever reason, or vice versa if they're leaving San Diego State. So if you're transferring for a second time, it should be more about getting your academic house in place. And if a kid's truly got mental health issues, then let's take some time to actually address those mental health issues as opposed to putting them back in the pressure cooker of, playing football and having to go to class and do all these different things. So I think we need to look at it from that standpoint. And yeah.
And doesn't it, to some extent, just to further on, JD, doesn't it kind of fly a little bit in the face of the NCAA's mission of graduating student athletes, right? I mean, if that is,
Well, yeah, I mean, the NCAA doesn't want to allow a free second transfer.
right?
I mean, the courts and other people are getting into the business of college athletics, and they're not looking at it from the standpoint of what's a great academic outcome.
Mm-hmm.
So, no, I think NCAA, we never should have gotten into waiver process to begin with. Once you got your first free transfer and you're able to move, then after that, you have to sit here no matter what sport you're in. So I think that was a mistake on our part of, considering transfers because it just opens up Pandora's box. So going forward, I'm hoping that we'll sit there and say no waivers on a second transfer and it's about academic outcomes.
Moving over to basketball, JD. Thoughts of the season so far? Game tonight, Viejas Arena versus Stanford. Big game tonight, 6 p.m. Listen out on San Diego Sports 760. But so far, how's the season gone, you think?
Yeah, I mean, so far so good. We added some pieces, and I think he's getting on the radio the other day talking about the number of injuries, having the entire team playing all at the same time or practicing all at the same time. We're just starting to get there and, really starting to gel and hopefully coming off of a long break. A good game against St. Catharines to, kind of get everything back in sync and to have everybody available. And we'll look forward to a very energetic Viejas Arena tonight for the Stanford matchup. And I think we're in a great place going forward. Our 2 losses are, to teams that are both, I think BYU's like 10-1 and Grand Canyon's something similar. So two teams that are, both playing very well at two hard places to play, that's only going to benefit us going down the road.
JD, before you go, I wanted to ask you about the women's program because they've won 5 straight. I think they won a couple of games in Florida. They're starting to play really good basketball. They're 9-4 overall. They had a really nice year last year. You must be pleased with what you're seeing right now in the women's program as well.
Yeah, Stacy and the team have done a great job. Really tough situation where, they don't really have a point guard.
Yep.
Having lost, a transfer and then 2 point guards tore ACL. So, they're trying to, put things together a little differently than what they had planned for. So I'm excited to see the success they're having, and, playing well as you go into the conference year is, always important. So excited for them.
JD, always appreciate it. Great to catch up. Exciting times on the Mesa with football and basketball and in athletics in general. Happy holidays. We'll do it again in 2024. And thanks for joining us on the home of the Aztecs.
All right, guys. Appreciate it very much. And happy holidays out there to the Aztec Nation. Go Aztecs.